Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the last and only video I'm going to do for the rest of the night. It is going to be a WWF retro review of the new era, not this current era, but for my retro reviews, we're going to talk about the Ruthless Aggression era. From now on, from here on out, I'm just going to catch the WCW Nitro episodes. I'm not going to do any reviews on them. I'm just going to watch them in my spare time. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and do Attitude Era reviews of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and also the Ruthless Aggression era for Raw and SmackDown. From as I know it about the whole SmackDown episodes, they have all the SmackDown episodes from 2001 of December, because that's where I'm going to start off at, all the way up to 2004 episodes after WrestleMania 20. Then on SmackDown they just have episode 256 and then 264, I believe, for SmackDown. So pretty much after WrestleMania 20, unless they got new episodes, by the time I get to that point, I will be out of SmackDown episodes to actually review for the retro wrestling, Ruthless Aggression era reviews. So at this point, I'm just going to be sticking with Monday Night Raw if I get to SmackDown where there is no more SmackDown episodes to review chronologically. So with all that being said, let's get started. The first episode and the only episode I was able to review, actually view on the WWE Network, was the December 10th, 2001 episode where Chris Jericho became the first undisputed WWE champion, defeating The Rock and Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the same night on Vengeance of 2001. So this episode's post-Vengeance, and this show was fucking awesome. I mean, there wasn't really a bad thing to say about this episode. It had everything. It had a World Championship title match. It had tag team titles on the line. It had the Hardcore Championship. I mean, you got every fucking belt being defended, and on top of that, great action with big name stars in every fucking name that you can possibly think of. From Kurt Angle, to William Regal, to fucking Kane, Rock, Trish Stratus, the Dudley Boyz, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Chris Jericho, freaking anyone and everybody you can think of. Big names, well recognition, from mid-card to main event, you name it, they were in this event. And this was a great Monday Night Raw episode. I really enjoyed it. Had a good time watching it and viewing it. First thing that happened is Ric Flair came out with both the World Heavyweight and WWE Championship belts, handed them over to Chris Jericho to get, pretty much anoint him as the new undisputed champion within WWE, WWF, whichever way you want to fucking look at it. And Chris Jericho playing as the heel back then, I really enjoyed it. Just watching it now, I was laughing my ass off. He was actually funny as a bad guy. He was playing a very dickhead role and extremely fucking egotistical. And Jim Ross's kind of like commentary on some of the things Jericho was saying was downright hilarious. I absolutely loved everything going on between the commentary, Chris Jericho's bullshit talk that he was having before he was told that he was going to have a match with Stone Cold Steve Austin with the title on the line in a steel cage match, to everything else in between. Jericho's comments were funny as can be. He was thanking himself, most importantly, Then he started thanking the fans, saying, if it wasn't for you guys teaching me to stop worrying about what you fuckers think and giving a crap of entertaining you, I wouldn't have actually became the world champion the way I did. He also said he won the belts and with no shenanigans and did it all on his own. He had guidance and support from Vince McMahon, so he thanked him for that, and he thanked both of his opponents for allowing him to beat them at Vengeance to become the World Heavyweight Champion, or Undisputed World Heavyweight Champion, as I should say. And quite frankly, it was funny as hell. Ric Flair, and then he also thanked Ric Flair for pretty much giving him that match and so forth, and living up to his word that whoever won that tournament that night would be anointed as the World Heavyweight Champion and given those belts the next night. So, without a further ado, Ric Flair pretty much went on his rant. He said, "Oh, you feel pretty damn good with both of those titles on your shoulders, huh?" He's going, yeah, well, great, champ. Guess what? After all the trash talking you had to say about me, making me feel like a lower level on the totem pole, your ass is going to defend those titles against Stone Cold Steve Austin in a 15-foot high steel cage. And Jericho pretty much didn't like that. His overall reaction was pretty funny. And that they went off the air and brought in the first match of the night. So, the first match of the night actually entailed, let me see here, scrolling through all the little BS bullshit that went on here. The first match of the night was the Undertaker defending the hardcore belt against Spike Dudley, which was downright fucking brutal. I mean, Undertaker got hit pretty badly by Spike Dudley. I mean, he hit him with trash can lids and what have you, and everything else in between he possibly could get his hands on. But at the end of the day, Spike Dudley got last ride through a fucking steel trash can, pinned 1, 2, 3, and then choke slammed outside the ring. This match, I give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Would have given it a solid 3 if the match would have gone on. Would have been a little bit more even matched. This match was a little bit out of sorts when it came to size, weight, and everything else in between. So moving on here, we then had Vince McMahon bring in Booker T, and he had a group of henchmen and guards and shit, and they're sweet and stuff like that. So Vince McMahon told Ric Flair he's going to actually go ahead and have that happen, and have Booker T just watch the show from the suite and allow Ric Flair to have complete control of Monday Night Raw for the night, which was actually kind of interesting. So Kurt Angle, he goes on to talk some trash about Rikishi simply because of the fact that on SmackDown just before they had their match for Vengeance for the titles, Vince McMahon's head went straight up Rikishi's ass, which was funny because they were doing the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club portion gimmick going on there for a small period of time after the WWF versus the WCW ECW Alliance storyline ended. So Kurt Angle and Rikishi, okay match, nothing great happened here. At the end of the day, Kurt Angle got counted out. Nothing really important happened, so Rikishi just walked away with a small victory. Then Kurt Angle tried to come back in, got stink-faced not once but twice, and on top of that, afterwards, Kurt Angle went ahead, brought back a chair while Rikishi celebrated and beat the living hell out of him. And that's how that whole match ended. Give it a 3 out of 5 stars, I guess. It could be nice. Um, as I said once before, actually, The Rock and Trish Stratus would go up against the Dudley Boyz for the tag team titles. So that's pretty much that. Lance Storm actually gets a match with Ric Flair later on during the show, begs Ric Flair for a match, gets it, and he faces the Big Show. Just to give you a small spoiler on that, William Regal faced Kane, and this match ended with brass knucks being hit in the back of the neck of Kane by William Regal, and William Regal walks away as the winner of this match. The WWF Tag Team titles, the Dudley Boyz versus Rock and Trish Stratus. This match actually probably was the longest match on the card outside of the world title match. This match actually went on for quite some while. At the end of the day, Trish Stratus got fucking 3D'd by the Dudley Boyz. And The Rock actually got distracted by Test, which I don't quite understand why that happened. I do believe that these two men compete against each other on SmackDown the next episode, or Test and Jericho team together against Rock and Rob Van Dam. I'm not quite sure what kind of match it was, but I do believe eventually on SmackDown, Rock and Test do face each other one-on-one in a match, simply because of that occurring. Alright, so yeah, my overall opinion on that match, definitely a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Not a bad match whatsoever in the sense of the word. We also had Lita and Jeff Hardy in a handicap match against Matt Hardy. At this point, I was a little confused with this because I don't, I'm gonna give away kind of something. Oh well. They actually do eventually get back together for whatever reason. I don't quite remember why, but Lita apologizes to Matt for, counting the 1, 2, 3 on Matt Hardy when Jeff Hardy had him pinned, simply because it was a match. Matt Hardy wanted Lita to be the referee in this match, so for vengeance. So what was she supposed to do? Favor him over Jeff? I mean, it was just supposed to be an unbiased opinion. Whoever won. And unfortunately, Matt Hardy got beat by Jeff. Matt Hardy does win this match. He actually did win this match by a sneak roll-up pin on Lita and got the 1, 2, 3. So nothing important there. Lance Storm then, and that match was alright, but I give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I don't quite understand why they had to keep going on with this rivalry when anyone who paid attention to wrestling back in 2002, they were actually together. So it was kind of dumb to bring those two together again. After all the bickering and arguing and Matt Hardy saying he was done with Lita and Jeff, at that point they should have been just bitter rivalries, bitter rivalry at this point. Lance Storm lost to Big Show in a squash match. Big Show whipped his ass. Nothing really big to talk about there. Give it like a 1 out of 5 stars. So basically, moving on from there, Vince McMahon started talking some shit, waving the fans, saying Booker T is a great guy, blah, 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 how he values him, and so forth. Austin goes on the Titantron and says, hey, dumbass Vince McMahon, you want Booker T to interfere in my match, cost me an opportunity of winning the world title. Well, guess what? I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You're going to have Booker T watch me whip Chris Jericho's ass, and I'm going to become the new undisputed champion. What? Because I, Stone Cold Steve Austin, said so. So, I fucked up the catchphrase. Let me repeat that again. And that's the bottom line. What? Because Stone Cold said so. And there you go. Just to get that right. So we got the WWF Tag Team title match underway. Chris Jericho and Steve Austin go to war. This was a brutal match. Jericho's bleeding all over the place. We get to the near end of this match. Stone Cold Steve Austin getting ready to walk out of the cage, out of the door, and Jericho flicks him the bird. You could practically almost see maybe tears running down Chris Jericho's cheeks, with blood as well. And he goes up, Austin goes ahead, gets pissed off at the sight of him being flicked off. So he walks up Jericho, picks him up by his hair, gives him a stunner, tries to walk out the cage, and Booker T, out of nowhere, smashes the steel cage door into his face, knocking him unconscious, and Jericho manages to crawl his little dead carcass out of the ring onto the floor, crowning him still the undisputed WWF champion. And that's the end of the show, basically, at this point. Decent, very good matchup. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars, maybe a 3.5, just because it was kind of slow a little bit in some portions of the show, of that match. But overall, I really enjoyed this match, and I enjoyed actually the overall show. I don't have too many complaints. The show moved very smoothly. It had everything, like I said earlier, it had everything and anything from any superstar you could possibly think of on the show. I mean, it was a great show for me. I really enjoyed it. If you guys want to take a shot at looking at it, see what you guys think. It was definitely worth my entertainment. Hope it would be for yours. But I definitely recommend it to anyone who's a big-time wrestling fan as I am. Anyway, at this time, guys, you know the drill. Hit the subscribe button. Leave the comments and opinions down below. I'll always get back to you guys on what you guys got to say about anything that I upload on my channel. And as well, guys, I thank you very much for watching this video. And have a great night, guys. And have a great week at work. If you're working or if you're kids, enjoy your summer off. It's almost coming to an end. Bye.